during that time, a Hebrew woman with no children was regarded as a sign of divine disfavor, despite the fact that I, along with my husband, had received the promise that from me nations would spring forth. The thought of my ever conceiving a child just died in my heart. I was so distraught that I proposed that Abram take my maidservant Hagar to bear his child. And so he did, and the child Ishmael was born. My faith failed me again. Learn from my mistakes. Trust that God is true to his promises. And he'll always make a way out of no way.
I tried to ruin a man's life with my wantonness and lewdness, and it didn't even pay off. By the grace of his God, who always seemed to find favor in Joseph, he still landed on his feet. Maybe your seductiveness and coveting ways haven't caught up with you yet, but they will. And if you refuse to change your ways, the guilt will follow you forever.
God's plan, his forgiveness, is extended to all and is not limited by your sins. Others may not see you as desirable, but through faith, God can change you from a heathen harlot to a heroine.
People of God, are you gifted with spiritual, mental, and emotional power that can leave a legacy that can deliver others out of a life of bondage? Do you have the power to rule a nation? God has given us the potential to be so much more than we allow ourselves to be. Tap into your God-given power and watch God work a miracle through you.
But God, who never fails and always keeps his promises, return to me tenfold that what the devil had stolen from me.
Keep smiling, keep shining, and most of all, keep God first. He will put you in the path of your Boaz, and you won't have to do anything but be yourself to get and keep his attention.
Before the year was up, I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy, naming him Samuel, meaning I asked God for him. After Samuel was weaned, I presented him to Eli and dedicated him to God for the remainder of his life. Remember, the effectual, fervent prayer of the righteous availeth much. Accompany your prayers with the faith that God can and will deliver. Your delight in the Lord will not only bring you the desires of your heart, he'll prepare a table of wonderful things before you in the presence of your enemies.
Oh, but that's not the end of my story. My son became ill one day to a point that he stopped breathing. He died right here in my arms. Oh, I was so hysterical, I didn't know what to do. That's when I went to Elijah and said, "Sir, did you come here to expose me of my sins and cause the death of my son?" Elijah said, "Bring me your son." I gave him my son. He took him up to the loft where he was staying, laid him on his bed, And he asked God why he brought such a terrible thing upon me. Then Elijah stretched his body full length 3 times over my son. And he prayed with all of his might, and he asked God to put breath back into my son's body. And God did. My son came back from the dead. I was so excited. And it was that day that I was convinced that Elijah was a holy man, and that when he spoke, God spoke, and God spoke truth.